chosen one, lock your focus on this moment. Do not let the distraction of the world steal this word from you. God saw you in that room. You know exactly which room I am talking about. He saw you when the accusation was thrown at you, and he felt that burning lump rise in your throat. He saw how badly you wanted to scream the truth, to fight back, to burn it all down with your words. But you didn't. You swallowed the fire. You chose silence. And ever since that moment, the enemy has been whispering that you are weak. He has been telling you that you let them win, that you are a doormat, and that your silence was an admission of defeat. But God has interrupted your day to declare a verdict over your life. That wasn't weakness. That was the hardest test of all. And because you passed it by trusting His justice over your own vengeance, the court of heaven has ruled in your favor. You are not here by accident. You are here for your settlement. A verdict has been reached in the unseen realm regarding your case. But before I open the scroll and reveal exactly what you have been awarded, we need to go back to the scene of the crime. Not the physical crime, but the spiritual one. I need to validate something your body has been carrying for weeks, maybe even months. I am talking about that specific physical pressure in your chest. It feels like a heavy, hot stone sitting right on your sternum. It is the residue of words you wanted to say, but didn't. Think back to the moment it happened. Maybe you were sitting in your car in the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel until your knuckles turned white, screaming on the inside while the world outside saw a calm face. Maybe you were standing in a family gathering or a meeting at work, smiling politely while your spirit was grieving because the people smiling back at you were the very ones stabbing you. You felt a literal tightening in your throat. That wasn't anxiety. That was the physical sensation of your flesh dying. That was your ego screaming for defense, and your spirit commanding it to be still. It felt like swallowing acid, and the reason that pain was so intense, the reason it felt like you were choking on your own truth, is because you were fighting a battle that goes against every human instinct. The natural instinct is to defend. The natural instinct is to clarify. When someone lies about you, your brain screams, "I have the receipts. I have the proof. Let me show them." But this time, something stopped you. A holy restraint clamped your mouth shut. And that silence has been burning you up from the inside out. You have been wondering, God, why did you make me stay quiet? Why did you let them think they won? Why am I the one suffering in silence while they are walking around free? Listen to me. That burning you feel is not the fire of destruction. It is the fire of consecration. You were not being crushed. You were being molded. The scripture says in Isaiah 53, referring to the Messiah, that he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. Now, I want you to catch what the English translation often misses here. We hear sheep, and we think of weakness. We think of a scared animal that doesn't know how to fight. But in the ancient context, the silence of the lamb during sacrifice was a sign of purity, not fear. A sick or blemished animal would struggle and scream. A perfect, spotless sacrifice would submit willingly. Your silence wasn't because you were scared of them. You could have destroyed them with one sentence. You have the truth on your side. You have the facts. Your silence was a choice. It was a demonstration of power so great that it didn't need to prove itself. You were operating in the archetype of the silent king. You aligned yourself with the highest spiritual protocol in the universe. And because you aligned with that protocol, something massive has shifted. This is why I need you to commit to watching this entire message until the very last second. Do not click away. because what I am going to reveal in the next few minutes is going to change how you see your entire future. I am going to show you the 3 specific baits the enemy will use to try and get you to break your silence in the next 40 days. I am going to give you the empty hands protocol so you can finalize this legal transfer in the spirit. And most importantly, I am going to explain the meaning of shalom, the double payment that is now legally yours. If you leave early, you might get the encouragement, but you will miss the keys to unlock the vault. So, if you are ready to receive this settlement, I want you to do something right now. You don't need to move your hands or stand up. I want you to make a mental transaction. In your mind's eye, visualize that heavy stone sitting on your chest, that heavy burden of things unsaid, of unfair accusations. Visualize it clearly. Now, imagine taking a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine that stone turning into dust and blowing away. Signal to the spiritual realm that you are ready to let go of the pain and grab hold of the promise. If you are with me, type the word PASID in the comments, not for the algorithm, but as a prophetic declaration over your own life that the test is officially over. Because here is the truth, chosen one. The silence you endured wasn't empty, it was purchasing something. In the legal courts of earth, when you remain silent, it can be used against you. But in the legal courts of heaven, when you remain silent, it is an appeal to a higher judge. You essentially told the universe, I will not judge this case myself. I am handing it over to the Supreme Court. And now, the Supreme Court has issued a settlement. A settlement isn't just an apology. An apology is words. A settlement is resources. A settlement is restoration. When a court orders a settlement, the defendant has to pay you for the damage, for the lost time, for the emotional distress. God is saying that the era of you being the defendant is over. You are now the beneficiary. The quiet tears you cried were recorded. The misunderstandings you endured were calculated. And the payout is ready to be released. But, and this is the most critical thing you will hear today, there is a danger here. Before you can receive this settlement, you have to understand the true nature of the test you just passed. This is where most chosen ones get tripped up right at the finish line. You are probably sitting there thinking, I passed the test of patience. I waited on God. I endured the suffering. I forgave my enemies. I need you to stop thinking that right now. If you think this was a test of patience, you are missing the point. If you think this was just about forgiving people who hurt you, you are only seeing the surface. Most people fail this final stage because they congratulate themselves on their patience and then they go back to waiting. But God didn't test your patience. He wasn't checking to see how long you could suffer. That is a cruel God, and that is not who your Father is. He was testing something far more dangerous. He was testing something that determines whether you are ready to rule or only ready to serve. If you think you just passed a patience test, you are preparing to wait longer. But if you understand what you actually passed, you will realize you are preparing to command. The reason most chosen ones stay stuck in the wilderness for years instead of weeks is because they mislabel their suffering. You look at the silence you just maintained, you look at the insults you swallowed, and you tell yourself, I am being patient, I am waiting on the Lord, I am suffering for righteousness' sake. And while that sounds holy, while that sounds religious, it is actually a trap. Because when you label your experience as patience, your subconscious mind adopts the posture of a victim. A victim waits. A victim endures. A victim hopes that one day the bullying will stop. And I know that is how you have felt. Late at night, When the adrenaline wears off, you feel like a punching bag that God forgot to untie. You have thoughts you are too afraid to pray out loud. Thoughts like, God, why do I always have to be the bigger person? Why do I have to be the one with the high character while they get to be low and dirty and still prosper? Why does my obedience feel like punishment? That internal conflict, that exhaustion you feel deep in your bones, comes from trying to carry the weight of patience when God was actually calling you to exercise authority. So I am going to flip the switch for you right now. The test you just passed was never about patience. It was about jurisdiction. You need to understand the legal structure of the spiritual realm. There are two courts you can operate in, the court of flesh and the court of heaven. The court of flesh is where your enemies operate. It is the realm of rumors, text messages, social media comments, and family gossip. In this court, the rules are dirty. He who shouts the loudest wins. He who lies the smoothest wins. When you wanted to defend yourself, when you typed out that reply and deleted it, when you wanted to call them and set the record straight, you were feeling the temptation to step into the court of flesh. And if you had done that, if you had broken your silence, you would have accepted their jurisdiction. You would have lowered yourself to their level to fight a battle you were never designed to win. But you didn't. You stayed silent. And this is the revelation that changes everything. Your silence was not a passive act of waiting. It was an active, aggressive, legal maneuver. It is called a jurisdictional transfer. In earthly law, if a local judge realizes a case is too big or complex for his courtroom, he transfers the case to a higher court. Once that transfer happens, the local judge loses all power. He cannot touch the defendant. He cannot issue a verdict. His hands are tied because the file has moved up. That is exactly what you did. By keeping your mouth shut, by refusing to engage with the lies, you filed a motion of transfer. You took the case out of the hands of people who hate you and placed it directly onto the desk of the Ancient of Days. You didn't lose your voice. You upgraded your judge. And this brings us to a scripture you have likely heard 1,000 times, but you have never heard it unlocked like this. Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. It sounds poetic, it sounds nice, but in the original Hebrew, it is a military strategy. The Hebrew word used there for hold your peace is charash, and charash has two distinct meanings that seem contradictory until you understand spiritual warfare. The first meaning of charash is to be deaf or to be dumb, to act as if you cannot hear. This is the defensive side of your silence. When the enemy screams accusations, you don't argue. You act deaf. You render his words powerless by refusing to acknowledge they even exist. You treat his insults like wind. But the second meaning of charash is where the power lies. This is the secret. Charash also means to plow, like a farmer plowing a field, to engrave, to cut into the soil. Think about that. God is saying, while I fight the battle above you, I need you to plow the ground beneath you. Your silence was not inactivity. Your silence was plowing. Every time you kept your mouth shut when you wanted to scream, you were driving a spiritual plow into the hard ground of your destiny. You were breaking up the fallow ground. You were digging the trenches where the blessing is about to flow. The enemy thought you were retreating, but you were actually preparing the foundation for the greatest harvest of your life. So stop calling it patience. Patience is what you do when you are helpless. Plowing is what you do when you are preparing for abundance. You were charash. You were deaf to their lies, and you were plowing for your promise. Now, take a moment and let that sink in. You are not a victim who survived a beating. You are a high court general who just successfully transferred a high-stakes case to the supreme commander. You executed the maneuver perfectly. The file is on God's desk. The enemy has lost jurisdiction over you. But we have to be honest with each other. We have to look at the messy part. Intellectually, you understand this. You hear my voice, and your spirit says yes. You know you did the right thing. You know the case is transferred. But emotionally, you are still bleeding. There is a shadow side to this victory that nobody talks about in church, because even though you gave the battle to God, a part of you is secretly checking the news to see if your enemies have fallen yet. A part of you is refreshing the feed, waiting for their downfall. A part of you is screaming, "Okay, God, I gave it to you, so when are you going to strike them down? When do I get to see them suffer like I suffered?" And that shadow, that hidden desire for immediate vengeance, that unhealed wound of injustice, if we do not deal with it right now, it will act like a poison in your system. It will sabotage the very verdict you just secured. You transferred the case, yes, but you haven't let go of the gavel. You have transferred the case legally, but we need to talk about what is happening emotionally. Because you can have the paperwork right in the spirit, but still have a heart that is bleeding out on the floor. I want to speak to the shadow that follows you into your bedroom at night. I want to go to that specific moment, usually right before you fall asleep, or right when you wake up and the reality of your situation hits you like a truck. You are lying there, staring at the dark ceiling, or maybe you are sitting in your car in the driveway, refusing to go inside yet because you just need a minute of silence. And in that silence, a voice whispers to you. It says, "They are getting away with it." It says, "You look like a fool. You look weak. Everyone thinks you are the one who messed up because you are the only one not defending yourself." That voice makes your stomach turn. It brings up a heat in your chest that feels like heartburn, but it is actually indignance. You replay the scenarios in your head. You imagine what you should have said. You imagine them laughing. You imagine them living their best life while you are picking up the pieces of yours, and you feel this desperate, burning desire to see them fall. You want to see the balance scales tip. You want to see them humiliated the way they humiliated you. And then, immediately after feeling that, you feel guilty. You think, "I am a chosen one. I should be above this. I should be forgiving. I should be holy. Why am I so angry?" Listen to me. That anger is not a sin. That anger is a signal. You are not angry because you are bitter. You are angry because you have a high calibration for justice. Your spirit is designed for truth. So when you see a lie being celebrated, your spiritual immune system reacts. It fights it. That heat you feel is your spirit rejecting the injustice. But here is the danger. You cannot hold the gavel and transfer the case at the same time. In Romans chapter 12, verse 19, the Apostle Paul gives a command that we often misinterpret. He says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord." Now, look at the context. Paul isn't just telling you to be nice. He is using spatial language. When he says, "Leave it to the wrath of God," the Greek implies making room or giving place. Imagine a crowded room. If you are standing in the center of the room, swinging your own sword, trying to fight your own battle, there is no room for the general to enter. You are taking up the space. You are blocking the doorway. God is standing at the door of your situation with a sword of judgment that is heavier and sharper than anything you could ever lift. But he cannot swing it as long as you are standing there trying to slap your enemies with your own hands. Your vengeance is a slap. His vengeance is an earthquake. But he will not cause the earthquake while you are still in the building trying to fix it yourself. So we are going to clear the room right now. We are going to perform the empty hands protocol. I know you might be driving, or resting, or working, so we are not going to use physical paper. We are going to do this in the theater of your mind, which is just as real to the spirit realm. I want you to focus. Turn down the noise in your head. Imagine you are holding a thick, heavy file folder in your hands. This file represents the entire situation. Inside this file is every lie they told about you, every dollar they stole, every rumor they spread, every sleepless night they caused. I want you to feel the weight of it. It is heavy. It is rough. It has your enemy's name written on the front of it. Now, in your imagination, visualize yourself walking into a massive courtroom. It is silent. It is holy. At the front, there is a large wooden bench where the Ancient of Days sits. And right in front of that bench, there is a table marked Evidence. I want you to walk up to that table. Your hands are shaking because you have been holding this file for so long that your fingers are cramped. You are afraid that if you put it down, they will get away with it. But you look up, and the judge nods at you. Now, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, visualize yourself slamming that file down on the table. Hear the sound it makes. Thud. Now, open your hands. Look at your palms. They are empty. Say this in your mind, loud and clear. I resign as the judge of this case. I vacate the seat. I leave room for the wrath of God. My hands are empty, so you can fill them. If you did that, if you truly saw that file leave your hands, I want you to type "hands empty" in the comments. Seal it. Let the enemy know you are no longer the one he is fighting. You need to know that this actually works. This is not just a visualization exercise. Let me tell you about a man who did this exact protocol. We will call him David, to protect his identity. David was a high-level manager at a logistics company. He was the one who came in early, left late, and fixed everyone else's mistakes. But there was a director above him who was threatened by his competence. This director started a whisper campaign. He blamed David for missed deadlines that were actually his own fault. He slowly poisoned the CEO's mind against David. It culminated on a Tuesday afternoon. David was called into a glass-walled office while the whole floor watched. He was fired for gross negligence. It was a lie. A complete fabrication. David stood there, holding a box of his personal belongings, a picture of his kids, a stapler, a coffee mug. He walked to the elevator while his co-workers looked at the floor, too scared to make eye contact. The ride down to the parking lot felt like it took 10 years. He sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, and he screamed. He wanted to sue. He wanted to leak the emails he had saved that proved the director was the one lying. He had the evidence to burn the whole company down. But he felt that check in his spirit, that divine stop. He heard God say, "Leave room." So David did the empty hands protocol. He drove home, he sat at his kitchen table, and he visualized handing the director over to God. He didn't send the emails, he didn't sue. He just updated his resume and waited. For 3 months, it looked like the enemy won. The director got a bonus. David was unemployed. But David kept his hands empty. Then, the earthquake happened. 4 months later, a federal audit hit the company. Because David wasn't there to fix the mistakes anymore, the director's incompetence was exposed. But it was worse than that. The audit found embezzlement. The director hadn't just been lazy, he had been stealing. because the federal investigators were involved, it wasn't just a firing, it was an arrest. The CEO called David. He didn't just offer him his old job back. He said, "We need someone we can trust to clean this up. We are firing the entire executive team. We want you to be the VP of operations." David went from a fired manager to a vice president in 4 months, with a salary double what he had before. Why? Because he left the room. If he had sued, he would have been tied up in court for years, looking bitter. By stepping back, he allowed God to expose the rot in a way that vindicated him publicly and promoted him permanently. That is the power of empty hands. You have learned how to let go. You have learned how to transfer the case. You might think this is the end of the lesson. You might think, "Okay, I have peace now. I will just wait for my blessing." You are wrong. This is not the end. This is the pivot point. Because now that your hands are empty of the burden, they are free to pick up something else. You didn't just drop a shield. You are about to pick up a sword. The enemy is terrified right now. Not because you are peaceful, but because you are unpredictable. When you released that case, you became dangerous. And because you are dangerous, your silence is no longer a defensive measure. It has transformed into a weapon of attack. You have emptied your hands. You have resigned as the judge. You have stepped back into the shadows of silence. And right now, you might feel like you are doing nothing. You might feel like you are sitting on the sidelines while the battle rages on. But I need you to lean in close, because I am about to tell you the secret that the enemy prays you never discover. Your silence is not a retreat. Your silence is a trap. You see, the kingdom of darkness relies on coordinates. Just like a missile needs a heat signature to find its target, the enemy needs your words to find your position. When you argue, you are loud. When you defend yourself, you are visible. When you post that angry status update, or send that long text message explaining your side of the story, you are broadcasting your exact location in the spirit realm. You are telling the enemy, "Here I am. Here is where I hurt. Here is where you can hit me again." But the moment you went silent, something terrifying happened to the people attacking you. You vanished from their radar. I want you to vividly imagine the war room of your enemies right now. I want you to hear the panic in their voices. For weeks, they have been poking you, provoking you, spreading lies about you, expecting a reaction. They are addicted to your reaction. Your defense fuels their offense. But for the last few days, since you started this protocol, they have received nothing but static. Listen to what they are whispering to each other. They are asking, "Why hasn't he responded? Did he see what I wrote? Why is she so calm? Is she planning something? Who is she talking to? Is she talking to a lawyer? Is she talking to God?" Do you see what is happening? Your silence has created a vacuum, and human nature abhors a vacuum. When people cannot hear your side of the story, their paranoia begins to fill in the blanks. They start to invent scenarios that are far scarier than anything you could actually do. By doing absolutely nothing, you have occupied their entire mind. You are living rent-free in their heads, not because you are fighting them, but because you are ignoring them. They are losing sleep, wondering what your next move is, while you are sleeping soundly because you know your next move is God's move. This is the strategic advantage of the Silent King. You turn their own imagination into a weapon against them. This isn't just modern psychology. This is an ancient spiritual technology. We see this pattern perfectly executed in the life of King David in 1 Samuel chapter 24. I want to take you back to the wilderness of En-Gedi. I want you to feel the heat of the desert and the cool dampness of the cave. David is not a king yet. He is a fugitive. He has been anointed. He has the promise. But in his reality, he is being hunted like a dog. King Saul, the man who is supposed to be his father figure, the man David served faithfully, is out there with 3,000 chosen men, 3,000 soldiers hunting one man. Talk about an unfair fight. Talk about a hard test. David and his men are hiding deep in the back of a massive cave. They are pressed against the rock, holding their breath, their hands gripping their swords. And then, the unthinkable happens. Saul enters the cave, alone. The scripture says he came in to cover his feet, which is a Hebrew idiom for relieving himself. The king is vulnerable. He is distracted. He has no idea that the very man he is trying to kill is standing 5 feet away in the darkness. Now, pause the scene. Look at this moment. This is the ultimate test of the court of flesh versus the court of heaven. In the dark of that cave, David's men start whispering to him. Can you hear the urgency in their voices? They are saying, David, this is it. This is the day the Lord told you about. God has delivered your enemy into your hand. Kill him. End this. You can be king tonight. Listen to that logic. It sounds spiritual, doesn't it? It sounds like a prophecy being fulfilled. It sounds like justice. Saul has tried to kill David multiple times. It would be self-defense. It would be righteous. No one would blame David for slitting Saul's throat right there. But David does something that makes no sense to the natural mind. He creeps forward, his knife in his hand. His heart is pounding in his chest, that same pounding you feel when you have the perfect comeback ready. He gets close enough to touch the king. He reaches out, but he doesn't strike the flesh. He cuts the cloth. He slices off the corner of Saul's robe. And then he crawls back into the shadows. Why? Why did he do that? You need to understand what the robe represented. In the ancient Near East, the hem of a king's robe signified his authority, his rank, and his identity. By cutting the robe, David was saying, I have the power to destroy you. I was close enough to end you. But I respect the office of God's anointed more than I respect my own need for revenge. He touched the authority, but he spared the man. Saul leaves the cave, completely unaware. He walks out into the sunlight, and this is where the trap of silence snaps shut. David follows him out. He stands on the cliffside, and he breaks his silence. But he doesn't scream insults. He doesn't shout, You are a tyrant. He simply holds up the piece of cloth. Imagine the look on Saul's face. He reaches down and feels his torn robe. He looks up and sees the missing piece in David's hand. In that split second, Saul realizes 2 things. First, he realizes he could be dead. Second, and more importantly, he realizes that David is righteous, and he is the villain. David's restraint did what David's sword never could. If David had killed Saul, he would have been known as a rebel and a murderer. Half the kingdom would have hated him. But by sparing Saul, by showing mercy when he had the power to kill, David forced Saul to publicly confess his own corruption. Listen to what Saul says in verse 17. The man who wanted to kill David starts weeping. He says to David, You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. The enemy confessed. The accuser admitted he was wrong. The liar exposed his own lie. How did David get that confession? Not by fighting, not by arguing, but by holding the evidence of his own integrity. Chosen one, this is your strategy. This is what your silence is doing right now. When you refuse to fight in the mud, You hold up the mirror of integrity. Eventually, your enemies will have to look at that mirror, and because you are not throwing mud back, the only dirt they will see is the dirt on their own hands. This leads us to the mechanism of self-exposure. This is the inevitable result of the trap you have set. When you step back, the enemy overextends. It is a principle of warfare. When there is no resistance, the aggressor stumbles forward. Because you are not countering them, they will start to get louder to compensate for your silence. They will start to exaggerate their stories. They will add details that aren't true. They will try to recruit more people to their side. And in their desperation to destroy you, they will get sloppy. They will tell one lie to one person and a contradictory lie to another person. They will reveal their true motives. They will show their teeth. People who were on the fence will start to watch them. They will look at the frantic, angry person attacking you, and then they will look at your calm, silent dignity. And without you saying a single word, the audience will render the verdict. That person is crazy, and you are peaceful. Your silence acts as a backdrop that highlights their chaos. You are giving them the rope, and I promise you, if you wait just a little bit longer, they will hang themselves with it. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to post the screenshots. You don't need to tell your side. The truth has a way of rising to the top when the water is still. Your job is to keep the water still. But I have to warn you, this is the most dangerous part of the process. The enemy is not stupid. He feels the shift. He senses that his jurisdiction is slipping away. He knows that his time is short and that you are winning the spiritual battle. He can feel the panic rising in his own camp. So, he is going to launch one final desperate campaign to get you to break. He knows that if he can get you to say just one wrong thing, he can drag you back into the court of flesh and restart the trial. He needs you to open your mouth. He needs you to react. In the next 40 days, he is going to deploy 3 specific types of bait. These are not random annoyances. These are calculated, demonically designed triggers tailored to your specific personality. They are designed to hook into your emotions and pull you out of your position of power. If you bite on any of these 3 baits, you will abort the settlement. You will forfeit the double portion. You will win the argument, but lose the kingdom. I need you to know exactly what these 3 baits look like, because one of them is likely sitting in your inbox or waiting in your phone right now. The next 40 days are critical. I am not giving you that timeline to scare you. I am giving it to you so you can be prepared. In spiritual warfare, whenever a major promotion is about to land, the enemy launches a suppression campaign exactly 40 days before the breakthrough. It happened to Moses. It happened to Elijah. And it was the exact timeline Jesus faced in the wilderness. The enemy knows he cannot stop God's blessing, but he can disqualify you from receiving it if he can get you to step out of character. He needs you to get angry. He needs you to get messy. He needs you to break your silence so he can have fresh evidence to accuse you. So, for the next 40 days, you are going to be walking through a minefield, but you are not walking blind. I am going to show you exactly what these mines look like. There are 3 specific baits coming your way. One of them might arrive as a text message tonight. Another might be a phone call next week. You need to recognize them the moment they appear so you don't step on them. The first bait is what I call the false rumor. This is the most common trap, and it is designed to target your insecurity about your reputation. Here is how it will happen. You will be going about your day, feeling peaceful, keeping your hands empty like we discussed. And then, your phone will buzz. It will be a message from a mutual acquaintance, someone who isn't necessarily an enemy, but they aren't a loyal friend either. The message will say something like, "Hey, I just thought you should know what so-and-so is saying about you." Or, "Is it true that you did this?" When you read that text, your stomach is going to drop. You will feel a cold rush of adrenaline hit your bloodstream. Your thumbs will instinctively hover over the keyboard, ready to type a paragraph of defense. You will want to type, "That is a lie. Here is what really happened." You will want to send screenshots. You will want to call that person immediately to clear your name. Stop. That is the trap. The enemy doesn't care if the rumor is true or false. He cares about your engagement. If you reply to that text with a defense, you have just accepted jurisdiction in the court of flesh. You have just lowered yourself to the level of the accuser. By explaining yourself, you are validating the lie. You are giving it oxygen. The moment you feel that urge to type, I want you to perform a mental action. Visualize a heavy iron gate slamming shut over your mouth. Hear the clang of the metal. Lock it. Do not type a single word of defense. If you must reply, you say, "I am praying for them," and you leave it at that. Silence is the only answer that suffocates a rumor. The second bait is more subtle, and honestly, it is more dangerous because it feels like love. This is the fake pity. The enemy knows that you are lonely. He knows that this battle has isolated you, so he will send a Trojan horse. He will send someone from your past, or a family member who has been distant, to check on you. They will call you with a voice that sounds dripping with concern. They will say, "Oh, I heard what you are going through, you poor thing. It must be so hard. Tell me everything. How are you handling it?" It feels like water in the desert. You are so desperate to be heard, so desperate for validation, that you will want to open the floodgates. You will want to tell them how much it hurts. You will want to tell them how unfair it is. You will want to bleed all over them, but pay close attention to your spirit. While they are speaking, you will feel a slight check in your gut. A tiny warning signal, a hesitation. Listen to that signal. That person is not there to comfort you. They are gathering intelligence. They are fishing for information that they can take back to the enemy camp. If you tell them you are struggling, they will go back and report, "See, she is breaking." If you tell them you are angry, they will report, "See, he is bitter." When you encounter the fake pity, do not feed the spy. You do not have to be rude, but you must be vague. When they ask for details, you give them glory. You say, "It has been a challenge, but God is faithful," and you change the subject. Do not cast your pearls before swine, or they will trample them and then turn and tear you to pieces. The third bait is the one that hurts the most. This is the direct provocation. This is when the enemy stops hiding and comes straight for your ego. This bait is designed to trigger your specific core wound. If your wound is rejection, they will say, "Nobody loves you." If your wound is intelligence, they will call you stupid. If your wound is integrity, they will call you a liar. They will say something so outrageously false, so disrespectful, that it feels like a slap across the face. You will feel the heat rise up your neck. Your jaw will clench so hard your teeth hurt. Your entire body will tense up, ready to fight. The voice in your head will scream, "You cannot let them talk to you like that. If you don't say something, you are a coward." This is the moment you must remember the pattern of the Lamb from Isaiah 53:7. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Why did Jesus stay silent when they spit on him? Why didn't he debate Pilate? Because he knew that Pilate didn't have the authority to judge him. Jesus didn't answer because the question was coming from a lower court. When someone provokes you directly, they are trying to drag you down into the mud. If you argue with a fool, you become the fool. The moment you feel that heat in your face, I want you to visualize yourself wearing a coat of oil. Imagine their words are made of water. Watch the water hit the oil and slide right off. It cannot stick to you. It cannot penetrate you. You are anointed with the oil of the silent king, and their words are slipping off of you like rain. To help you survive these next 40 days, I am going to give you a tool. I want you to install a mental software called the Silence Filter. Before you speak, before you type, before you hit send, you are going to run your words through this 3-gate filter. Visualize 3 golden gates in your mind. Gate number 1, is it true? Gate number 2, is it necessary? And gate number 3, is it necessary for me to say it now? Most things will pass the first gate. Yes, it is true that they lied about you. But most things will fail the 3rd gate. Is it necessary for you to say it now? No, because God is speaking for you. If you can keep these gates closed for the next 40 days, if you can navigate the false rumor, the fake pity, and the direct provocation without breaking your posture, something supernatural is going to happen. The heavenly court is going to see that you cannot be baited. They are going to see that you are stable enough to handle the weight of glory. And the judge is going to slam the gavel down and say, "Case closed." And when that case is closed, the settlement is released. This is the moment we have been building towards. This is the reason you clicked on this video. Because once the trial is over, the transaction begins. The legal term for this transaction in the kingdom of God is a Hebrew word that you need to burn into your spirit. It is not just a word for peace. It is a word for payback. The word is shalom. Most people think they know what peace means, but they have no idea what shalom means. Shalom is the reason you endured the silence. Shalom is the reason you didn't fight back. Because God wasn't just planning to vindicate you, He was planning to make you wealthy with the spoils of the battle. Shalom. It is a word that tastes like honey in the mouth of the righteous, but it tastes like ash in the mouth of the wicked. You have heard the verse in Joel chapter 2, verse 25. It is a favorite among chosen ones. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, and the chewing locust. We quote it, we put it on our vision boards, but we rarely understand the economic mechanics behind it. In English, the word restore sounds like fixing something that was broken. If I crash my car and the mechanic restores it, he just bends the metal back into shape. It is the same car, just repaired. But the Hebrew word shalom does not mean repair. It means to make whole through payment. It implies a debt being settled with interest. It is a legal term used in ancient contract law. If a thief stole a sheep, under the law of shalom, he could not just give the sheep back. That would be restoration. No, under shalom, he had to give back 4 sheep for the one he took. Catch this revelation in your spirit. Shalom is not about getting back what you lost. It is about getting back what you lost, plus the accumulated value of what that thing would have produced if it had never been stolen. God is not just looking at the time you lost in that toxic relationship. He is calculating the interest on that time. He is looking at the years you spent fighting that sickness, or that depression, or that workplace battle, and He is applying a divine multiplier. The tears you cried were not just water, they were liquid investment capital. And because you held your peace, because you passed the test of jurisdiction, the maturity date of that investment has arrived. The enemy thought he was bankrupting you by stealing your joy, but he was actually creating a savings account that he now has to pay out. The interest rate on your suffering is higher than any bank on earth. You need to see what this looks like in real life, because sometimes spiritual concepts feel too abstract until you see them put on flesh. Let me tell you about a woman who walked this exact path. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was married to a man who was charming in public, but a monster in private. He was a narcissist who drained her spirit and her bank account. When he finally left her, he didn't just leave quietly. He destroyed her reputation. He told their church, their friends, and even her family that she was the crazy one. He painted himself as the victim. He left her with $50,000 of debt in her name, a leased car she couldn't afford, and a house that was falling apart. Sarah wanted to scream. She had the text messages to prove he was lying. She had the bank statements to prove he stole the money. Every bone in her body wanted to go on social media and expose him. She wanted to grab the microphone at church and tell the truth. But she heard the divine stop. She felt that check in her spirit that said, "Be silent, let me handle the books." So Sarah swallowed the fire. She applied the silence filter. When people asked her what happened, she just said, "I wish him well." She worked 2 jobs in the dark. She cried herself to sleep on a mattress on the floor because she had to sell her furniture. She plowed the ground. She was charash deaf to the rumors, plowing for the promise. For 2 years, it looked like the enemy won. He was posting pictures of vacations with his new girlfriend. He looked happy. Sarah looked tired. But then, the Shalom protocol initiated. It started with a phone call. A former client who remembered Sarah's integrity offered her a partnership in a new firm. It wasn't just a job. It was an ownership stake. Within 6 months, Sarah paid off the debt. Within a year, she bought a new house cash. But that was just the financial restoration. The true Shalom came in the vindication. 2 years after the divorce, the ex-husband's life collapsed. The facade crumbled. His new partner exposed him publicly for the exact same things he did to Sarah. The friends who had judged Sarah, the family members who had sided with him, they all came back. They came to Sarah with their heads down, apologizing, asking for forgiveness. And the climax of the story happened in a grocery store. Sarah ran into him. He looked 10 years older, broken and bitter. He looked at her radiant, prosperous, glowing with a peace that money can't buy. He couldn't even look her in the eye. He hurried away in shame. Sarah didn't have to say a word. Her life was the statement. That is Shalom. It is when God prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemies, and the table is so full of blessings that your enemies have to sit and watch you eat. This is what is queuing up for you right now. I am looking at the spiritual data surrounding your life, and I see 3 specific manifestations of Shalom heading your way. I want you to receive these as prophetic specifics. If your spirit leaps when I say these, take it as a confirmation. First, I see a financial unlock that comes from a forgotten source. For some of you, this is literally a check in the mail from an old account, an insurance settlement, or a tax error in your favor. But for others, it is a skill or a project you shelved years ago because you were too depressed to work on it. God is breathing on that old seed. It is going to produce a harvest you didn't plant in this season. Second, I see the return of the ex. Now, don't panic. I don't necessarily mean a romantic ex, though for some of you it is. I mean the ex-friend, the ex-boss, the person who walked away from you when you were down. They are going to circle back. They are going to send a message or make a call, testing the waters. They will say they miss you. Listen to me closely. This is not an invitation to let them back in. This is your victory lap. They are returning to witness your glory, not to partake in it. Treat them with kindness, but keep the gate locked. Their return is your sign that the tables have turned. Third, and this is the most important one, I see a somatic shift, a physical lifting. For the last few months, you have woken up with a sense of dread, a heaviness, a feeling like you are waiting for the other shoe to drop. That is about to break. You are going to wake up one morning, very soon, maybe even tomorrow, and the air is going to taste sweeter. Your chest is going to feel expansive. You will take a deep breath and realize the stone is gone. You will feel a sudden, irrational joy bubbling up in your stomach. You won't know why you are happy. Nothing external will have changed yet, but your spirit will know. It is the feeling of weightlessness that comes when a heavy burden is officially removed from your shoulders. That feeling is the signal that the verdict has been signed. We have walked through the diagnosis. We have navigated the false summit. We have done the shadow work. We have set the trap for the enemy. And now, we are standing at the threshold of the reward. The court is in session for the final time today. The judge has heard your silence. He has reviewed the evidence of your restraint. He has calculated the interest on your suffering. The decree of Shalom has been written out on the scroll of your destiny. But in the kingdom of heaven, a verdict is not executed until it is received. God can write the check, but you have to endorse it. You have to sign your name to the agreement. You have to actively agree with the judgment of heaven. You cannot do this passively. You cannot do this while scrolling to the next video. This requires a moment of consecration. It requires a deliberate act of your will to say, yes, I accept this victory. I accept this new identity. I am done with the wilderness. So I am asking you now to prepare your spirit. In a few seconds, we are going to enter into an activation ceremony. This is not a typical prayer. I am not going to ask God to help you survive. We are past survival mode. We are going to command the atmosphere to align with the verdict. I need you to shift your posture. If you are lying down, I want you to sit up. If you are sitting, I want you to plant your feet firmly on the floor. If you are driving, I want you to grip the wheel with a new sense of authority. Imagine that you are standing in the center of that courtroom we visualized earlier. But this time, you are not holding a heavy file of pain. You are holding a pen of fire. You are standing before the desk of the Ancient of Days, and the book of life is open to your page. The next words that come out of my mouth will be the words that seal this season forever. Do not let your mind wander. Do not let the enemy distract you for one more second. We are about to seal the door on the pain and open the door to the palace. Are you ready to sign for your settlement? The time for learning is over. The time for activation is now. You have received the knowledge, but knowledge without a seal is just information. We are about to turn this information into a mantle that you will wear for the rest of your life. I want you to shift your internal atmosphere right now. Whether you are driving, lying in the dark, or sitting at your desk, I want you to command your spirit to stand up, even if your body is tired, even if your physical shoulders are heavy. Visualize your inner man, your spirit, rising to its full height. Imagine yourself standing tall, unbowed and unbroken in the center of the court of heaven. Focus all your attention on the center of your chest, the throne room of your heart. We are crossing the threshold. We are leaving the wilderness of testing and stepping into the land of settlement. In the name that is above every name, the name of Yeshua, the Prince of Peace and the Lord of Justice, I declare that the courts of heaven are open over your life right now. I declare that the atmosphere around you is no longer filled with the static of confusion, but with the clarity of glory. Angels are taking their positions. The cloud of witnesses is leaning in. The accuser has been silenced, and the judge is ready to speak. Father, I bring this chosen one before you. You know their journey. You have counted every toss and turn in the night. You witnessed the moment they chose to swallow the fire. You saw them when they stood in the face of betrayal and chose not to strike back. You saw the tears they cried in the bathroom stall so no one would see. You saw the loneliness of their integrity. They have been misunderstood. They have been slandered. They have been rejected by the very people they tried to help. But today, we acknowledge that their pain was not in vain. We acknowledge that their silence was not weakness, but a seed of great power. And now, Lord, we come to water that seed. I stand in agreement with them right now to seal the protocols of the silent king over their spirit. I seal the empty hands protocol. I declare that the spirit of vengeance is broken off of their life right now. We bind the need to be right. We bind the need to explain. We bind the addiction to human validation. I declare that their hands are legally empty of all bitterness, all resentment, and all malice. They have released the gavel, and because their hands are empty, they are now open to receive the double portion. I seal the silence filter over their mouth. I anoint their lips with the oil of wisdom. I declare that for the next 40 days and beyond, no weapon formed against them in the form of bait shall prosper. I bind the spirit of reaction. I bind the spirit of defensive argument. I declare that when the enemy sends the false rumor, they will be deaf. When the enemy sends the fake pity, they will be discerning. When the enemy sends the direct provocation, they will be slippery with the oil of the Holy Spirit. They will not be hooked. They will not be dragged down. They will abide in the high place of authority. And now, I release the decree of Shalom. I prophesy to the four corners of your life. I speak to the years the locusts have eaten. I speak to the reputation that was tarnished. I speak to the bank accounts that were drained. I speak to the relationships that were broken. By the authority of the court of heaven, I command a sevenfold restoration. I command the thief to be caught and forced to pay back with interest. I declare Shalom over your finances. Where there was lack caused by the enemy's attack, let there be an overflow that confuses the wise. May resources come from the north, south, east, and west. May hidden accounts be revealed. May bad debts be cancelled. May the wealth of the wicked be stored up for the righteous. I declare Shalom over your mind. I rebuke the trauma of the accusation. I command the voice of the accuser to be silenced in your head. You will no longer replay the arguments. You will no longer have imaginary fights in the shower. I release the peace that surpasses all understanding to guard your heart and your mind. Sleep returns to you tonight. Sweet sleep, deep sleep, the sleep of the vindicated. I declare Shalom over your name. You do not need to defend your character. God is your defense. I declare that God is washing your reputation with His glory. Those who spoke against you will see your rising and be ashamed. Those who dug a pit for you will fall into it themselves. Your name is being cleared in rooms you haven't even entered yet. Chosen one, hear the verdict of the Father. You are not guilty. You are not forgotten. You are not a victim. You are a graduate of the hardest test. You have mastered the art of war by mastering the art of peace. The robe of the victim is being stripped off of you right now. Feel it falling away. And in its place, the mantle of the king is settling on your shoulders. It is heavy with glory. It is weighty with responsibility. You are commissioned to go back into the world, not as a complainer, but as a commander. You will walk into the same rooms where you were hurt, and you will carry a presence so thick that demons will tremble. You will look at your enemies and feel no anger, only pity, because you know who protects you. I ask you now, in the quiet of your own spirit, to accept this commission. Do not look at your past. Do not look at your failures. Look at the verdict. If you receive this settlement, if you accept this new identity, I want you to say yes. Say it in your spirit. Scream it in your soul. Let it ring out in the heavenly realms. Yes, I receive it. Yes, I am the silent king. Yes, the test is over. Yes, the reward is here. Heaven has heard your yes. The angels have recorded your agreement. The contract is signed in the blood of the Lamb and sealed by the power of the Holy Spirit. The case is closed. The struggle is finished. Do not sit there and wait for a feeling. You have the verdict. Now, get up and walk in it. Go and rule in the midst of your enemies. You are dismissed from the wilderness. Go.